back with our faces. The last time you seen both of our faces like this, we were in the exact same boxes talking about the exact same thing, but now we've got an extra 5 hours to talk about.
Hooray!
It's great.
We just said that it probably won't take that long.
No, but we've got
who knows?
5 hours to talk about.
Because whenever we say that, it goes for hours.
It does go for hours. We're going to be talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier as a series, as it stands, as it's all finished. But if you want to hear our thoughts about the first episode, that's available. If you're listening on the audio place, it's somewhere along this playlist. Or if you're on YouTube, it's also probably on this channel.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess, as we have said about when we were going through WandaVision, it's like if you're here, you've watched the show, or you don't care, we don't need to be spoiler-free, but just a general thoughts. What did you think about this show?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed all of it. I felt like it just got better as it went. Nearly every single episode, I felt like stepped it up in a way.
Yep.
It was just really good. And it handles like some of the big, social topics that have been coming up a lot last year, but also throughout time.
History, yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Throughout, especially, I don't know, the last 80 years or so. And I felt like it handled it in a really good way and not ham-fisted and not jamming it in our faces. It just kind of is there and happens very organically.
Totally.
And yeah, I feel like it's just, it was a freaking great series.
Yeah, it was so solid.
I loved it.
As much as, WandaVision tried to do something very unique in being a TV show within a TV show, but even there, I feel like it never really committed to that. So it ended up this strange muddle of it all, whereas this I feel like really commits to being a Marvel film split over 6 chapters, and I think it's so much better for it. I'm not against something like WandaVision where it shakes it up, but I think this just proves that this could be how the Marvel universe lives, because one of the biggest things about this show, and I'm sure we'll bring it about all through this thing, is that this almost episode 1 less so, but from episode 2 onwards feels like a comic book. Shots are shot like a comic book. The way dialogue is delivered feels like a comic book. Jumping all the way to the end, when Sam's talking to the government officials, I'm like, I feel like I've read this in the end of an arc where it's it's finally come down to this is a perfect translation of a comic book series that doesn't exist, because the first time a Bucky and Sam existed was last year. So I applaud the entire team for making such a perfect comic book show. And they even play up our favorite thing, which is the dumbness of Marvel, even amongst all these racial and all these crazy issues that they tackle. It's still really dumb and fun. Yeah,
it's still playful. It's still got the Marvel humor that we all know and love. It's so good. I'm very excited to rewatch the whole thing when my girlfriend eventually gets to it.
Yeah, totally.
Because so far I've only seen every episode once, which usually I watch them all twice.
Yeah, you usually get a double whammy. I've done the first 2 twice, and I already and I watched episode 2 last week, so not as a full knowledge of what happens. Already rewatching them, I'm like, this show nails what it wants to do from the off, and everything kind of really, this podcast is about the final episode, but we'll touch on other stuff as well, because this final episode really proves how well constructed the show is. There's nothing left over in this apart from the credit scene, which is probably one of 2 things that I think is off about the whole series, but it's also the thing of the Marvel Universe where that might make sense in 5 years or something. But they tie off so many loose ends. Our favorite thing in the first episode was Bucky and the old guy that lost his son to the soldier, and that comes back. And
that coming back was thank you.
That was my tweet that was we're going to be crying next week. I feel like I almost wanted that scene to be a minute or 2 longer, but it was still gut punching.
Yeah. Just seeing a little bit more discussion or something, just a bit more emotion back and forth between them after he says it.
Totally.
But still still damn powerful.
Still great. And like the fact that he gives the book back to his psychiatrist, like all the little bits and pieces all kind of fall into place in a lovely way.
Yeah.
And then the Isaiah Bradley stuff, which I was worried was going to be like a quick, like, lol, here's like some back history and move on. But then last week in episode 5, possibly one of the best scenes in the show where Isaiah gives his full like backstory and history to Sam. I will say I'm a bit like, maybe it's a bit of a WandaVision thing, but the actor that plays Isaiah is actually like in his 40s, so they've aged him up dramatically for the show.
Really?
Yeah. So if you see a photo of him, the dude's like far younger. So I was like sitting on, like standing up, waiting for like a flashback because I'm like, you've cast this younger dude and made him older. I assume you're going to show me something.
Cool.
Yeah. But and then in this episode when he was like going to the museum, I'm like, oh, we're going to see like the Isaiah Bradley Captain America costume or something. But
that would have been sick.
But yeah, like I'm happy that everything falls together. We'll get back to the good things. I just want to quickly talk on the 2 bad things so we can get back to being applauding.
Let's go for it.
The biggest problem, I think, of the show, and it's a tricky one because they almost fix it a little bit in this last episode, is the flag smashers. Like, they just are kind of there from episode 2 onwards, and I don't... Like, I think I know what they wanted, but I don't think... And I don't even think that Carly knew what she wanted in the end. Like...
It's super vague. Like, I don't know what they were really trying to stop.
Yeah.
All the stuff that Sam was talking to the government officials about at the end, I'm like, what is this actually? What were they voting on?
Yeah.
What was Carly trying to stop?
Totally. And
how can they do better?
Well, yeah,
what are they doing better at? I don't get it.
It's like, and it's one of the things that I talked to you about it ages ago as well. And it's the thing that I'm like, I understand there was a big kind of quarantine, big global virus subplot, which obviously heavily tied into what they were going for. That's why Mama Donna died of this virus that was spread across the country, across the world. Maybe it was linked to the snap. Like maybe there's things like that, some cool, interesting bits, but that all were clearly dropped because whenever they bring up the tuberculosis, it's always in VO. Like no one actually says that. No one ever says the reason she died. So it's like, it's very clear that they've kind of morphed the storyline and I think lost a lot of scenes in the process. And unfortunately, that scene at the end where he's like, here's all the things you're doing wrong. I think that would have made more sense had we had all that context. But it's like they had to cut so much to, I guess, make it fit in the current climate. Unfortunately, and I know Australia's very lucky, but unfortunately, I feel like we're almost past it. Like, I feel like it almost would have landed at a good time to be making those references, to be like, now that all the governments are kind of not on top of, but understanding of things, now might have been the right time to be like, here's how you're failing the world and, like, bringing all the youth of the world through this show back on board. Like, I almost think they should have kept it in. Like, I think if it had launched in August last year, totally, but... I feel like enough time's passed for them to have left that plot in. And I think Flag Smashers would have been a lot more interesting and just because, in the end, they're fine. And what I mean by like, it kind of fixes itself in, I feel like Sam's speech is basically saying she did it wrong, but she had the right message, be better. And it's almost like, he's almost saying none of that was right. None of what she did was right and none of it made sense. So you should be better for it kind of thing. So it's like, it almost cancelled out the confusion of the Flag Smashers because he's almost going, don't do that.
Yeah. Like, incredible message in the end. Like, something that I think a lot of people can get around, especially considering how a lot of governments have handled this.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah.
And how a lot of governments handle anything. Also not too great.
Not great. What's the line? What's the line of consent, Josh?
Yeah.
Did you see all that? It was great.
Wait, what?
No. So that's what happens when you're busy game developing. There's a whole thing this week about milkshakes. I'll send you the video. It's wild.
Milkshakes?
Yeah, man.
Damn it, why?
The government tried to explain what consent was through like spilling a milkshake on a man's face, and he's like, no, I don't want that. And then there's all these... It's insane. The video was taken down. We're streaming this currently on Twitch. But, I mean, I feel like I can find it for you because it's... Yeah, you need to know what that was. But, yeah. I don't know how you missed that, because it's like, it was an Australia-wide issue.
Yeah, like, I know... That's ridiculous. It's so dumb because, yes, I have been busy. I've barely been on the internet all week. I've barely had time to do anything other than just work and then see my girlfriend who's now away for like 6 weeks. That's all I've done. So I haven't seen anything. I haven't been on the net. But the fact that I've been off the net for a week and the government has like, ruined milkshakes now?
Kind of. It's definitely made them a lot more gross. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Bloody
I'm
hell.
sorry, Josh. Maybe you don't want to see that video. But basically, yeah, governments can suck. And I think this show definitely did a good job of portraying that. Also, like, what was she trying to do in this episode when she stole all the people? Because she, like, stole them because they were about to vote on, like, confirming lockouts between nations and stuff. But, like, if she stole those people, surely there's other officials. Like... All she's done is halt a vote for a day, maybe.
Where was she taking them?
Yeah. I don't know.
Like,
and surely Zemo's butler was just going to blow up the vans anyway.
Is that who? That's who that was.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
okay, because I paused it and actually like stared at him and I'm like, where did he come from? But then when they showed Zemo in the next bit, I'm like,
that makes so much sense. Oh my gosh.
There you go, Josh.
One of my fourth note is who the hell was that old man?
Good. It was Captain America in the House of M. That's who it was. Anyway, there's a reference. But yeah, no, it's unfortunate this stuff is a bit muddled, but they're all dead now, so it's not. They're not going to be able to fix that like they're fixing the 10 Rings and Shang-Chi. It's just a weird moment in Marvel's history, but it's also like kind of like WandaVision. The show is about that. The show is about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's not about the Flag Smashers. There's like a set piece for the show to exist around.
Yeah. I do wonder, because like all the Flag Smashers are dead, but Carly kept saying throughout the episode, we could die for this, but our resistance is strong enough to keep going without us.
That's true.
And they kept saying it. So I feel like...
Maybe.
I feel like it'll be back.
Totally.
But also they kind of suck. So maybe they'll just be like,
hopefully
they're gone.
It's such a weird bit because, totally. They keep doing that. And then there's the bit with the guy that says it to the ones in the van. And then they blow up the van. Because, like, that's the moment you set up that they're still alive and they're on the raft. But then they blow them up. And it's like, well, what's your thing here?
Yeah. Is it that one guy?
Is he
the one guy that closed the door?
Watch him being in the credits and his name is actually like, he's the head of Hydra. And it's like, oh, God.
Steve Flag Smasher.
Steve Flag. Everyone's Steve. But that's the one of the things. The other thing I think is really strange, but it is set up in the mid-credit scene, or only credit scene, is the entire Sharon and the power broker situation, which is a little bit strange. Like, if they didn't, like, the fact they flat out called her Agent Carter at the end, it's just like, you're really just stamping on one of the best women in the Marvel universe now. Like,
yeah.
It's strange.
It's like that reveal. We knew that reveal from like episode 3 or whenever.
Yeah, whenever she
turns up.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. You're clearly something sketchy's going on with you. You're clearly the bad guy.
Yeah.
Or whatever she is.
You don't collect like the most famous paintings in the world and not be the main bad person. Like,
yeah. But I will. What am I saying? All right. There was another character that turned up in episode 5.
Yep.
Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Valencia Allegra de Fontaine. I looked her up. She has once been Madame Hydra. Mm-hmm. So there's potential. And she also, I think, started or like co-founded the Femme Force. Yep. Who Sharon Carter has also been part of in my research just then. So
There's that.
there's a bit of a thing there.
The most
they both seem kind of a little bit twisty and powerful.
It's true. I mean, the most likely thing that's going on with Elaine is the Thunderbolts, and she's just working with Ross. Like she gave John his black and red costume. But yeah,
That was pretty cool.
That was
all
a
the
great
costumes,
bit.
all the new costumes and stuff. It's
my
like,
God.
yes.
I mean, he wasn't even in the episode we talked about. John Walker. Might as well talk about him. Because I need to get a point across. Because I've seen it online, and for the 7 people that end up listening to this after we post it on YouTube and the places, John Walker and Homelander are not on the same playing field at all. Like, in terms of what they are as a character. Homelander is like, what if Superman was bad? John Walker is just, what if Steve Rogers didn't quite have the humanity that Steve Rogers had? John Walker is still a good man. John Walker is still a war hero in a good sense. Like, he was a good man in episode 2, and he was still a good man in episode 3. He takes serum, which has heightened the bad elements of him, the things that he keeps hidden. He does one wrong thing and that forces him out. That's his arc, is it's a good man that makes one wrong choice. And that's why, like, this whole thing of people basically forcing White Russell off the internet is so heart-wrenching, because his character was, never there to be the Captain America. And you all knew that. This show was built so that Sam became Captain America. You know what this show is. So I don't know why that was ever a big deal. And B, he was both never going to be a hero, and he was also never going to be a bad guy. He was always built to be somewhere in the middle. And it really makes me sad that that a lot of the internet haven't quite understood his character. And I think this episode hopefully will have steered people back. It'll either have steered them back or made them angry that it's like a quick switch of his character. Yeah. But I personally think he's actually one of the best things, apart from Sam and Bucky. He is like such a solid character in this whole thing.
He was freaking great. He was so interesting the whole time. Like, the amount of what do you call it? Like,
nuance.
I can't even think of the thing. Just like the amount of pressure that he sort of had on both sides. Like, he had his own pressure of like, I need to be the best and I need to stand up to this, and like kind of let those emotions get the better of him at points. And then obviously when he took the serum, it heightened that. But yeah, like everything that happened to him, you could just see how much he was wrestling with everything, every single freaking time. And it was so good. He is a bit of a dick. That's the point. That's the point of him. That is his character. That always has been his character since he was created in the comics. And he in the comics as well, he turns back around. He's almost like an anti-hero. He's like a Deadpool.
Totally.
Like, he's just there's you know. You
can't he's definitely not going to be an Avenger, but he's not going to be in the League of Villains or whatever. Like, he's a perfect middle ground. And like, Wyatt Russell did a great job. I'm glad to still have him in the MCU. The humor that gets brought into his character in this episode, he always was funny, but like now that he knows in himself who he is, it's like he is allowed to be a lighter character in this. Like, the scene, like, I think my favorite, apart from the Sam stuff, which we'll have to get to, my favorite bit in this final episode is when all the Flag Smashers exit the cave and him and Bucky are just standing there with the phone, and Bucky's like, it's a great app. And then John Walker just recites a Lincoln quote, and he's like, well, he's a great man. He's like, yeah, but not when you say it. Like, it's such a great little back and forth. It's so lovely.
Yeah, it's good fun. I'm looking forward to hopefully just more interactions with at least like those three, because they know each other now.
Totally. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the final thing on John Walker as well. Like, I love the way in this final episode, and also quickly, Lamar was a great character, and I'm really sad that we don't have more of him, because he was a great foil to John.
He was great.
But sadly, he served his purpose of being the most human in all of the Marvel Universe. Like, anyone else could take that pole, but shouldn't. And this is the first time a person has hit a pole and been like, yeah, no, that would kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane. Amazing.
So good. But in this final episode, when it's like chase after Carly or save the truck, I was like, it was like a friggin' Spider-Man moment where he like finally realizes he's a hero. I'm like, do it, John. And then like when he got it, I'm like, oh, this is so good.
Yes. Yeah. That's the freaking the gray area that he's fighting the whole time.
Yeah.
And then they straight up just give him his chance, linger on it for like a minute, and then make him do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. One thing that I missed that I wish was in it more, that hand does not look like yours.
I was about to say that. I looked down and I'm like, who is that?
That is so weird. One character that I missed because he did not come back was Joaquin Torres.
Totally. Yeah.
He came back for like a very short amount of time.
Did a little cameo. Yeah.
In episode 5, maybe?
I think it was in 5. Yeah, because that was after the wings got broken. And he's like, here,
yes,
take
that's
these.
right. Yeah, he came back. Yeah, and he's like, oh, you forgot your wings. And then Sam's like, you keep them.
I'm like, yes.
Like, yes. Because for the people that don't know, Torres is another Falcon.
Yeah.
So
it's an interesting. I'm intrigued to know how they play that because it is such a, like, I don't know how it plays in the comics, but the fact that the black guy is now Captain America to then pass the wings to a white guy, like, I don't know what that messaging is, but it can, because he was like the sidekick and now he's the main guy and now the white guy is the sidekick. Like, it will be interesting and I'm excited because I'm sure it's very ham-fisted in the comics because the comics aren't often good with subtlety. So I'm excited for that. And like another young Avenger, I was excited to see Isaiah's grandson. What's his first name? Elijah?
Yeah.
I think it's Elijah.
Not sure.
Eli Bradley is the grandson. And they he answered the door in episode 2 and that was kind of it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if you're actually going to use this guy. But the fact he got a few lines in this episode, I'm like, okay, I feel like you have set him in our minds in the same way the kids in WandaVision are kind of set in our mind. Like they're definitely going like, here's all these young people that are in the universe. Like the same with Joaquin as well. It's like, remember these faces because we're bringing that team together eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe like more young Avengers.
Yeah. Well, we've got
some point. Like
Kate.
You got a bunch of them now.
We've got Stature, which is the Wasp Ant-Man one. Yeah, we've got the other. I've already forgotten the 2 I've said. There's a lot out there. The 2 kids.
Yeah, Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
You got maybe Stinger if that happens.
That's what. Yeah,
Stinger?
that's what Stature was. Stature,
Yeah,
Stinger.
right.
They're all. It's a very weird character. But yeah, no, we're totally moving towards the Young Avengers, and also like, I'm excited to know if the Thunderbolts and the West Coast Avengers are going to kind of be one thing, or like, because like US Agent is often with the West Coast Avengers, so I wonder if they'll kind of just go West Coast Avengers are like the Dark Avengers, and then they just kind of muddy that. There's a lot of things set up in this, which is exciting. And just quickly, just on the Sharon Carter thing, because obviously we're heading towards 2 other series that she could turn up in. One is Armor Wars, like she could be a big help of like selling armor from within the government, getting Stark tech designs out there. The other one, which I'm wondering if it is a long play, is Secret Wars. A Secret Invasion, sorry. Whether this is another long play if she's actually a Skrull. And our real Sharon has been missing for a long time, kind of thing.
Bro,
like that would be pretty good.
That would kind of make a lot of sense.
And why she's like, infiltrating everything.
Yeah, Sharon never seemed to be...
She's kind of nice.
Yeah, she never seemed to be like kind of, twisted and in a gray area.
Totally.
She wasn't brought up like that. Like, where did it come from?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
so,
dude.
It could
I love
be good.
that.
It could be like, because we haven't seen a bad Skrull yet, but assumedly that's what Secret Invasion's gonna give us, is that we've got our good boys, which are helping Fury in space, but all this time there's been some naughty Skrulls that have actually been invading our universe.
Sick.
Which would be cool. So yeah, that's what I'm like. That's why I'm annoyed of how like such a pivot that storyline or that characterization has turned. But if they play it like that and it's like it's a long play, fair. And it's also like it didn't have too much of an effect on this series as well. That it's like, you were just setting up something. It's like fine. But one character we haven't talked about as well, apart from our two boys, is the other boy, the Zemo, who popped up in Ep 3 and stuck around for a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
What an amazing, amazing choice.
He's just so good. He's so much fun. He's just like, he's a little bit cheeky.
Yeah.
He's like the kid at school who's like a bad kid. But the teachers love him anyway because they're just like a little bit cheeky.
Because he's got a bag of Turkish delights for him.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just he's freaking great. The actor is great. So much fun.
Yeah.
I am so looking forward to him appearing in everything. Forever. I just want him all the time to be in everything.
Like and
so fun.
It's just and I love again how they got him to where he kind of is in the comics. Like he's a very dry, direct character in Civil War, but it's like this doesn't feel like a pivot. Like this feels natural as a natural extension. It's like he was driven by that singular mission in that movie and he did the thing he wanted to do, and now he's allowed to play, and so he's just a bit freer, and still has the dark side of just never knowing what his actual motive of everything is. Like, I was fully expecting him to try and kill Bucky at some point, but I like that he's kind of in a really interesting way, considering like he was the tool in Civil War, that he, I think, kind of realizes that maybe Steve Rogers wasn't the only one that took the serum that is actually a good person. Like, I liked that was kind of a revelation between both Bucky and Zemo have like a, you know what, like, I get where you're from kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Zemo is almost like, he's almost like a mirror of John Walker, US agent, where he's like, he's probably Zemo is probably mostly bad. But he knows he can do good.
Yeah.
There's like that side of him. Whereas John Walker is like mostly good, but sometimes he kind of creeps into the gray and checks out that area a little bit, but we'll come back. It's like, they're almost weird, like mirror images of each other.
That's a good thing. I'm sure that's in there. Marvel are great at just being subtle with the symbolism and everything. Like, like the hotel they're staying in distractingly has stars on all the windows. And we were very just not looking at anything going on. Although that is in the scene, I think one of our favorite scenes, I'm going to call it, of the whole thing, which is when Sam's like, he's going to turn his head and do that menacing thing. And then Zemo just tilts his head back up.
Tilts his head back.
It's so good.
Again, that was just framed like a comic book would have been framed. You would have just had the panel.
Yeah,
like
and then just
his head sideways. Or his head straight.
Yeah.
And then his head sideways.
And then
his
Sam,
head straight again.
It would have been head straight, tilt, Sam in the background saying he's going to do the head tilt, and then Sam's gone, and then the head's back. Like, yeah. It's so, and like, and I told you we're going to keep talking about this. The way that the cuts happen in the episode, the way the episode's edited, they'll linger on shots that you definitely would have already jumped to a close-up of someone speaking just to fill the scene, in the way that in a comic book, it's like, well, yeah, every page should probably just be a close-up of someone's face because they're talking. There's always dialogue happening. But in a comic, they're like, you know what, let's stay on the wide and we'll fill the scene with all the dialogue and point it to the... So there's lots of like wide, like establishing shots that linger while a whole conversation's almost happening that, really feel like comic book panels. And like, it's great. And all down to the action as well. Like the action of this obviously steers in the kind of Winter Soldier Civil War realm. Like it definitely hits what the Russos were doing, but I think it heightens it in a really cool way. And like, I like, it's really interesting because Daredevil did a great job of bringing good action to television, but it was definitely a Daredevil style. Whereas this actually does, again, feel like the Marvel formula of action on a television, and like repeatedly in an episode. Like, there is a lot of action in this show comparatively to WandaVision, which has nothing, and then just 40 minutes of non-stop Marvelism. Like, this is very frenetic and fast-paced, which was great.
It's good fun. I don't know if I have anything else. I think I had another thought, but it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So to save us from having to cut something else again,
I'll keep talking.
Forget it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, because I feel like we kind of went over Bucky. Bucky's really fun in this. I think everything we said about Bucky in the first episode, I think pretty much still rings true by the end of this. Like, his journey in the show is mainly just for him to understand that his past happened and that he's a new man. And I feel like he learns that a lot quick. Like, his arc, I feel like, is finished a lot sooner than Sam's. I guess the real arc that Bucky goes on in this is to understand where Sam's coming from in all of his struggles. But I found it so strange because it's like the minute Bucky understands Sam's struggles is when Sam goes, you know what, I will be Captain America. And it was like this, like, Bucky, as he's like, I get why you don't want the shield. Sam's like, I want the shield. And it's like they just moved, and it's like they went to the other side of the room as they went, I get where you're coming from. It's like, all right, I guess that's characters.
yeah, for sure. I guess it's kind of like, I think Bucky was like, yeah, I get it, but come on, man.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
that's true.
Come on, just take it.
Just take the
Sam's
shield.
like,
yeah, okay.
I'll take it. Yeah. A couple of other like super quick things. Just up top of this episode, super basic. Probably should have said it at the start. Barely relevant now that we've basically finished the podcast. Sam just like bursting through that window and just being like, I'm Captain America. It's like, oh, he's just taking it.
Shit.
That's just it. It's just him.
Yeah.
There he is.
Like,
and then
the costume's perfect. Like, it's
so
just the costume. Like,
yeah. It's the comic costume perfectly. And then just straight after that, the guard, I think Dolphin Pants said it in chat earlier, the guard just saying, I thought Cap was on the moon.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just the best. And again, another comic book little like side joke.
I'm like, I'm like, I don't want it to, because I feel like it's a funny gag, and I'm sure it's not the last we'll hear of people having that theory. Like, I could definitely hear it coming up in like No Way From Home or something. But I almost want it to pay off that Steve is helping Fury in space for S.W.O.R.D. Like, it seems too logical.
Yeah.
Like
he's just an old man doing some stuff on the ship now.
Yeah.
Like maybe Peggy died, and then he's like an admin guy.
Yeah.
Like he's the man in the chair.
He's the man in the chair for S.W.O.R.D. Because, like, I mean, there is that line very early on that, like, I think Sam says, well, Steve's gone now. And it's a very vague way of saying it, because it's like, Steve's dead, Steve's gone back to his universe, Steve's on the moon. Like, I feel like it's still very open as to where Chris Evans is in this universe, and I think that's really cool. I'm like, I wish they gave us him at some point in the show, but I'm also like,
that would have been so good.
It's okay. Like, there was a heavy rumor, and I like was waiting for it to happen, because a lot of this episode was set in New York, that Spidey would swing on by and be like, hey guys, because it's Spidey's realm. And like, when they're over like the bridge and the helicopter's falling, I was like, is it gonna like, is Spidey gonna like catch the helicopter and be like, oh, I'm sorry? And like, but we didn't get it. And I think that's cool. And I think that these shows are setting up that that's not what they're here for. Like, the movies now, like Thor, there's like 80 different people in that movie, and like the Spider-Man movie has Doctor Strange, so I feel like now 2 series in, these are the shows that are like directed to what they needed to be, and they're not the ones that drop in people just for a quick like, lol, there's that person. Like, WandaVision obviously has a lot of characters from around the universe, but they're there with a purpose, and they are part of the show. So I think
it's not a cameo.
Totally, yeah. The show and Elaine.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, like the one cameo we got, which I kind of wish there might have been. Another closure thing at the end was
Rhodey.
Rhodey, yeah. Just at the end, like, it would have been cool because they had a fairly solid chat at the start of this about how Sam didn't want to be Cap, and it just
true.
kind of would have been cool
To kind of close that
to
loop.
have, to kind of close that, because we got to close with everyone else. So that kind of would have been cool. Probably didn't need it.
Yep.
We didn't need it. It was a great ending.
Yeah, no, it's
everything was fine, but it just kind of, it would have been a cool little circle back around to be like, you did it.
It might be a little bit of a mirror thing of the opening of Armor Wars has a scene with Sam, and it's like that's the kind of thing they're setting up. But yeah, that's true. Yeah, I totally forgot about Rhodey. And like even there, like it's such a nonchalant thing. Like they just cut to him being there.
He's just there.
Yeah, I mean they cut to him a lot.
They do. Yeah. But it's just sort of like it felt natural and normal.
Yeah,
because it was a very government
like
event,
a military thing. Yeah,
and he is one of the higher ups in the government. Yeah, but is also an Avenger. Like it makes sense that he would be there for that.
Totally. So
he lost his cap.
It's true.
Being Tony. So of course he's going to be there supporting his fellow Avenger plus doing government things. It just like there's a perfect reason for him to have been there for that 5 minutes.
This is probably like the first Marvel thing, apart from Rhodey being in the first episode, first Marvel thing in a long time that's had nothing to do with Iron Man. It's like everything has had something to do with Iron Man. Like WandaVision, he made Vision. Like there's always been a link. So this is actually Rhodey was still there, I guess. But there's not much else to say. I think I said it on a stream at some point, but I don't even know what that was. We just got a notification on Twitch. I did. You didn't get it. I could have just not reacted to it, but it just alarmed me. And I can't see what it is because we're not in a scene that has that thing. But thank you to whoever just followed.
Thank you.
But I would just say with Sam, like I never was against him being the one that got given the shield, but it was a moment that I feel like a lot of people had in Endgame where you're like, but Bucky is his friend. Like, why not Bucky kind of thing? And like I always was like, well, yeah, but like for representation as well was always like where my mind was at with it. That's just no matter what you say in terms of a storyline department, and they definitely give reasoning. That's definitely a part of the process of selecting that kind of thing. But this show does such a great job of being like, no, Sam is and always will be the rightful heir to the shield. Like,
yes,
the conversation he has with Carly in like in episode 4, I think, where he's like trying to talk her down. That's Steve Rogers. Like he is best suited for the job, and I'm so happy they made him more of a character because I feel like his greatest moment up until now was coming through the portals. And like, it's like, cool moment, but I don't know how much of a character he was. But like this show, unsurprisingly, given he's the first word in the show, has done such a great job of creating who he is, which is great. Yeah.
He's got, like you said, he's got the speeches and he's just got the morality that I think Bucky just doesn't quite have, or like it's probably maybe has now, but there's just like an allegiance to America and to justice and to doing the right thing all the time. And Sam will always choose the right thing.
That's true.
Bucky will always be
hesitant.
Like, a little bit hesitant, like a little bit kind of sketchy in his approaches and things. But Sam just is like a perfect military man. He was the right choice, as you said. Bloody damn it. I've done it again.
It's one of those podcasts, isn't it?
At work today, I was talking to one of my mates, one of the designers, and I was like, oh, have you been watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier? And he was just like, nah, I haven't. It's not Steve Rogers. There's no other Captain America that I can follow. And I'm like, well, you better bloody watch this damn show because you will have a new Captain America by the end of it.
Good.
It's so good. Like, he just is now.
Yeah.
He just is.
Yeah, it's like, I was so excited because I was one of those doubters that was like, I can't fathom how the Marvel universe is going to keep pushing forward, how they're going to fill those roles, and how they're going to like do another story. And it's like, yeah, they've just done it. Like, admittedly, I don't know what the universe looks like. I don't know what an Avengers movie looks like, because like all the films are so familiar to us now. I'm interested to know what the future is, because it feels real. Like, I think that's one of the other things this show did really well, is it made the universe feel alive in a way I think Marvel never has done. Like, the fact that Wakandans can just appear because Zemo is around, and now they're like, actually, you know what? That's an issue to us, so we're just going to turn up in your story. Like, and the way they go to different locations without a massive text on the screen. Like, it feels like the universe of Marvel could lie a bit heavier on the Russo vision of it now. Like, everything's a bit, not grittier, but a bit more realistic in the approach to things. Even WandaVision, which is incredibly stylized, once, like, the outer side of it didn't feel like an Iron Man movie or something. Like, it did kind of still feel like that Russo universe where everything's a bit just real. So I'm interested to know if that's their direction now. I don't know.
Yeah, I love just the overall like consequences and exploring that from everything that's happened, like freaking everything that's happened. Yeah, it's so cool to just see them constantly exploring that. I don't know when they're gonna stop, when things are gonna be kind of back to normal, I guess.
Yeah.
It's maybe got to be at some point during some parallel universe crap when we start kind of shifting away from everyone was snapped and now we're all sad.
Yeah, once there's like 7 times the amount of people in the one universe, they're like, you know what? That doesn't matter anymore. This is kind of weird.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally.
So we'll probably get there, but this is the first time we've had like a proper deep exploration of everything that's been happening, and that's essentially what this whole series was.
Yeah,
was just the resulting effects of the snap.
Yeah,
the blip.
The blip. Whatever. It was wonderful, and it's sad that we've got a month and a bit gap. We've got MODOK in between, but until Loki. And that, again, will just be a tonal shift to be sure.
Yes.
So, that I think is all our thoughts on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier Series 1. I think there's probably going to be another series. That's the other aspect. I'm intrigued to know what happens with these characters. Like, I feel like now that we have so much time with them, it would feel unfortunate to sandwich a Sam film into 2 hours. Like, it feels like I want them in an Avengers movie or something, but I feel like, if you want to tell another Sam and Bucky story, I feel like Series 2 has to happen. We'll see, I guess.
But then maybe a movie would potentially make them more money, and if you put just a Falcon movie out, then people will be like, we got to go get Disney Plus and watch the show.
It's true. Because
we
need to catch up.
Falcon has a new outfit and is now being called Captain America. It's going to be Captain America 4.
Well, no, what I actually wanted to quickly say as well, now 2 series deep, is how successful they are in the fact that the movies actually will make sense. Because I was thinking about this. Because WandaVision, right? Wanda starts sad, she ends happy. But in the context of the movies, she had that conversation with Hawkeye where he's like consoling her. And so for people that don't watch the show, that was the last time they saw her. They saw her be a badass in the Endgame fight. So sure, now she's got a cool costume. There's no jump or logically up there. Vision was dead. Now there's a white Vision. That's weird. I don't know how much relevance that will have in the movies in general. But it's like Wanda as a character is not that much different either side of this. Sam and Bucky. Bucky is like pretty much unchanged from Endgame. Sam, end of Endgame, gets given the Captain America shield. If he shows up in a cool costume and he's called Captain America,
that's true.
No one's going to be confused. Like, they have done an incredible job of like giving us a cool story that expands on their characters. But for those that are only ever going to watch the films, it's never going to be confusing. Loki, like, we saw him get sucked into a portal. If he turns up in Thor, it's like, oh, well, that's the one that got away. Like, you don't need to tell us what happened in the Loki show. They've done such a great job of placing these characters at points and then bringing them back through without the shows needing to be watched. Because that was the aspect I'm terrified of. Don't know how Secret Invasion's going to play out. Feel like you might need to watch that one, but
yes, maybe. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it's just a thought I had as well that they've done a great job. Unsurprisingly, Kevin Feige's done a great job of planning his big universe.
But he's coming for you.
He is. He's gonna get me.
Freaking coming to Sydney, man.
Yeah.
So cool.
He almost got me with my Shang-Chi stream. But if you want more of us, like Kevy Feige wants more of me. That's all he's ever going to be called now. You can jump on over to patreon.com/each their own, just like I believe the Cosmic Apple did whilst we were live streaming this, who joined us at our tier 1, is now sitting in our super secret Discord. So if you want to be as cool as the Cosmic Apple, you can jump on over to patreon.com/each their own. Thank you, Cosmic Apple.
Thank you. And we got a smiley face in the chat. Look at that. He got a shout out.
Thank you.
Far out. What a dude.
What a sick thing. And if you want to be in the chat like Cosmic Apple, you can jump on over to twitch.tv/etonline. We stream kind of Mondays and Wednesdays and then Fridays if there's a TV show we want to talk about, I guess.
Yeah. And just like sporadically. So turn on those notes.
Please turn those
notifications.
Subscribe there as well if you want, but it's fine. You don't have to. Just hit follow. That's what means the most to people when I send them a link to Twitch and they're like, wow, 277. And I'm like, why is your voice like that?
He's a soother.
Yeah. Take that. And if you want to just keep on looking at us, you can jump on over to youtube.com/each to their own. If you aren't already there watching this podcast, you can subscribe. And if you are on YouTube, we're kind of across the board on your Spotify's and stuff doing this, but just audible. But if you only listen to audio, you don't get to see my weird hand.
That's true. And we're not on Audible, if anyone is confused.
No, we're just Audible.
But yes, we're just Audible. We are Audible.
Yes.
We're not on there. We are it. Yep.
I think that's it. We're going to try and get back to a fairly regular podcast about a bunch of things. If you've got a suggestion for something that you'd like us to talk about, you can obviously leave a comment if you're on YouTube. The other best way is to jump onto that Discord. So jump over to patreon.com. It's fine. You don't need that $3. It's just sitting there. You don't drink coffee.
Come on. Yep. I keep thinking of things to say and then it just disappears because generally what you're saying goes for a little bit longer than I expect.
Yeah.
And then my mind just wipes it. I'm like, nah, I got nothing.
Oh, God.
We're done.
We're done. I've been Will.
I've been Josh.
I didn't say that too long. You should have been able to keep that one in.
Look, it's been too long since I've been myself. Nah.